Good morning and Jai Hind, dear students. Welcome to physics class. Children, though today is Tuesday, but again we'll complete the physics syllabus first. So children, yesterday we were talking about the topic water cycle. Alright. So I think you are clear with the concept of water cycle. So I'll quickly once again recap what is water cycle and then we'll move to the next topic of this chapter, that is sources of water. Okay, so I would request you all to please open this topic, that is water cycle, which is at page number 178, I think. So please open the page number 178 and let's talk about water cycle once again. So children, water cycle, why it is called cycle? Because it keeps on repeating. All right, why it is called cycle? Why anything is called cycle? Because from the point it starts, it again come back to the same point and it again restart from that point. All right, that is why it is called cycle. And water cycle, so we will talk about water, how water is formed, how it will evaporate, how it will condense and again fall in the form of a rainfall. Okay, so all these things is included in this water cycle. We have already talked about this in the previous class. Okay, so I'll quickly recap it once again. So what happens in water cycle is there are several water bodies present on the earth, like river, lake, sea, pond, oceans. All these are the sources of water. All right, like in all these places water are present. When the sun rays falls on these water bodies, then what happens? The surface of water, the surface of river, sea, lake, ponds become warm and become heated. The temperature increases, and as the temperature increase, it evaporates. All right, in the form of water vapor. Clear? As it evaporates in the form of water vapor and as the vapor rises up in the atmosphere, the temperature decreases. All right, and we know that when in a water vapor, when temperature decreases, it condense. ठीक है, जैसे हम लोग ने कंडेंसेशन के प्रोसेस में पढ़ा था कि अगर हम किसी यूटेंसिल में कोई भी चीज गर्म कर रहे हैं, टेक इट अ वाटर, अगर हम पानी गर्म कर रहे हैं, सो वाटर gets converted into vapor, वो भाप निकलता है, so it gets converted into vapor. All right, but when we will keep a lid over that utensil, then what will happen? The vapor will again get converted into water. Okay, why? Because temperature there is now less than the temperature that is there in the utensil. Getting it? So as like when the vapor is rising up and if the temperature decreases, it condenses. Clear? So same process, same thing happens here also. When the sun rays falls on this river, lake, ocean and such water bodies, then what happens? The vapor is released, and as the vapor rise up, the temperature decreases. Okay, and if the temperature decrease, it will condense there, and when they will condense, they will form a cloud. So the cloud that we see above in the sky is the condensation of these water vapor. All right, now when these cloud condense and it gets more and more condensed, then again it will be converted into a form of water droplets, and these water droplets will keep on increasing, and when it becomes bigger and bigger, it falls on earth again in the form of rainfall. Okay, so we have seen evaporation, we have seen condensation in this process, and this rainfall is known as precipitation. So in the water cycle, whenever you are writing the water cycle, these words are mandatory to be written: evaporation, condensation and precipitation. Okay, Now after these three process happens, so this cycle is one cycle is complete. Okay. Also, we know that plants transpire. All right, what is transpiration? Transpiration is a process where the leaf of plant releases water. All right, when there is excess amount of water in the plant, then the leaf of plant releases water. This we have already talked about, and you already know what is transpiration. So water is there also, and the sunlight will fall on that water also, so they will also evaporate. All right, so the water from the river, lake and seas evaporate, the water from the leaves evaporate, so everything just evaporate and goes up in the atmosphere and forms a cloud. And then after that, when it condenses more, then it forms a water droplet and it falls on earth again. Now when it falls on earth, it not only falls on the river and lake and plants again, but also will fall on the land. Am I clear? So when the rainfall comes, when the precipitation process is going on, तो वाटर रिवर में भी जाएगा, वाटर लेक में भी जाएगा, वाटर सी में भी जाएगा, वाटर ओशंस में भी जाएंगे, और वाटर लैंड पे भी आएंगे. राइट. सो अगर लैंड पे जो वाटर आ रहे हैं, the few amount of water will also, with the help of a stream, will pass to the river again, but some water will remain as it is there in the land and will be absorbed by the soil. Clear? So when these soil will absorb the water, so the water will keep on going down in the soil. Okay, it will keep on going down and down and down and will settle at the bottom at underground level. The water will settle down, and those water which settle down under the ground are called groundwater. So this also I have told you in the previous class what is groundwater. So I think you're clear with this. What is groundwater? क्या होता है? Rainfall होगा, soil है, soil में pores होते हैं, soil has a capacity to absorb water. So soil will absorb water और water क्या होगा? धीरे 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 नीचे settle down होता जाएगा and will settle at the underground of the soil, and these water are called groundwater. एंड दीज आर द ग्राउंड वाटर जो कि हम हैंडपंप से या बोरिंग करके या फिर हम पंप लगा के जो वाटर हम पंप आउट करते हैं फॉर आवर हाउस होल्ड वर्क एंड फॉर इरिगेशन, दिस इज दैट ग्राउंड वाटर. ऑल राइट, हमें पानी जब हैंडपंप हम चलाते हैं तो पानी कहाँ से मिलता है? ग्राउंड से ही तो पानी आ रहा है. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड ग्राउंड वाटर. इवन जो हमने घर में बोरिंग कराते हैं या हम मशीन चलाते हैं तो मोटर लगी होती है, तो वो मोटर भी क्या करती है? दैट मोटर pumps the water from the ground. Okay, so that water which is settled underground is known as groundwater. Clear? So that is called a groundwater. Now what happens? The groundwater is pumped for domestic purpose, for irrigation purpose, and for industrial use also. Clear? Now at times what happens? Temperature is very low. ठीक है, अगर temperature बहुत कम हुआ, then that rainwater will convert into ice. All right, that rainwater will convert into ice. It will freeze and it will be converted into ice, and we can feel the snowfall. ठीक है, स्नोफॉल आता है. स्नोफॉल आप लोग ने यू लाइक फ्यू ऑफ यू मस्ट हैव ऑब्जर्व्ड इट, फ्यू ऑफ मस्ट हैव फील इट. आप लोगों ने मूवीज में देखा होगा, टेलीविजन पे देखा होगा. स्नोफॉल एवरीबडी नो व्हाट इट इज. ओके, सो जब टेम्परेचर बहुत कम होता है, जिस एरिया में टेम्परेचर बहुत कम होता है, वहां पे क्या होगा? दैट रेन वाटर विल कन्वर्ट इनटू स्नोफॉल. Okay, and again these snowfall and these water will also cover the mountains. ओके क्लियर, आई थिंक इट इज क्लियर टू यू. सो जब ये माउंटेन्स पे भी कर रहे हैं, देन अगेन व्हेन समर कम टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज होगा, तो माउंटेन्स पे जो भी स्नो है that will also melt, and with the help of a stream will go to the river, sea and lake again, so refilling it. Is it clear? रिवर लेक से पानी निकला, क्लाउड बनाया, क्लाउड से कंडेंस हुआ, वापस माउंटेन पे, लैंड पे और सब जगह आया, then again it will melt and again go back to sea, water and lakes. So that is why, because it is repeating again and again, it is called water cycle. Clear, children? So this is water cycle. So if you come across any kind of doubt while studying this topic, please do ask me. Okay. So that was about the water cycle we have talked about. Okay. Then the next topic we'll study is sources of water. Before that, just quickly read what is written here in the chapter. So water cycle. A cycle is something that occurs repeatedly in a particular order. All right, like यहाँ से कोई चीज start हुई, फिर it will form a particular pattern and again come back to the same position, again will start and again come back to the same position. So it is called cycle. Okay. Water constantly move from earth to air and back again. Right? क्या होता है? Water moves from earth in the form of evaporation, then condenses here and then again come back. Again will move up, again will come back, again move up, again will come back. Okay, so this process continues. Clear? So that is why it is known as water cycle. Now water in the sea, river, lake, pond, stream evaporates because of the heat of sun. Clear? Plants also give out large amount of water from their leaves during transpiration. So I think you are clear with what is transpiration. Okay. Now the water vapor rises up. These water vapor rises up and it condenses to form water droplets. So is it clear? I think. Then again the drop becomes bigger and it falls in the form of precipitation or a rain. Okay. Sometimes when it is very cold, the water drops may freeze and fall as a hail or snow. Okay. The rainwater falls on sea, rivers, lakes, ponds and stream. The rain that falls on land flow into the river through a stream. Some of the rainwater seeps down into the soil. Children, this what I was talking about, that the water can, like soil can absorb water and rainwater can seep down into the soil. Okay, seep down means it can go inside the soil. Okay, and gather underground, and it will gather where? In the underground, forming a groundwater. Okay. Now, groundwater is pumped out for domestic irrigation and industrial use. So, everything we have seen. So, here also you can see that the rainwater gets frozen on the mountains during the cold weather. It melts during the summer and flow into the river and then into sea and oceans. Okay. So, everything we have talked about. So, that is the complete water cycle. Children, this diagram is very important. You have to draw this in your fair notebook. Okay. I'll tell you in front of which question you have to draw it when I'll discuss the question answer. Then I'll tell you from like where you have to draw this diagram, but you have to draw this diagram, children. Okay. So that was about water cycle. I think it is clear. If not, you can again ask me any questions from this topic. Okay. Now coming on to the next topic, that is sources of water. Okay. So we'll talk about sources of water. So about sources of water in this topic हम लोग को क्या पढ़ना है? हमें ये पढ़ना है कि हमें पानी कहाँ कहाँ से नेचुरली मिलता है. ठीक है. सोर्स क्या है वाटर का? वाटर हमें कहाँ कहाँ से मिल सकता है? Okay, so this we will talk about in this chapter, in this topic, that is sources of water. Okay. So children, I have already explained you this diagram. I'm not going into deep into it again. Okay, let's talk about sources of water now. So children, we basically have four sources of water. What are the four sources of water? That first is rainfall. Second we have is groundwater. First is rainfall, second is groundwater, third is surface water, and then we have a seawater. Okay, so I'll first explain you what are all these things and then we'll discuss further. Rainwater, you know how rainwater is formed? When cloud, this is a cloud, when it condenses, all right, it is converted into a drops of water forming rain. Clear? So this is a rainwater. Now what is groundwater? When these rain falls and is seeped inside the soil, this is a soil, okay, when it is seeped inside the soil, so it forms, so it gets settled down at the bottom here, all right, forming a groundwater. Okay, we'll talk about it later. Then what is surface water? Surface water are the water of river, like when again when the rainfall occurs, so these rainfall goes into river, into lake, into streams, all right, into oceans, into sea, everywhere. So these water of river, lake, pond, stream, which are present on the surface और जिसको हम देख सकते हैं. ग्राउंड वाटर को तो हम देख नहीं सकते ना, क्योंकि वो अंडरग्राउंड है, इसको तो हम देख नहीं सकते. बट दिस रिवर वाटर, लेक वाटर, पॉन्ड, स्ट्रीम, ये हम देख सकते हैं. And they are on the surface, so that is why they are called surface water. Okay, sea water, the water which is high in salt content, जिसमें नमक ज्यादा हो, ऐसा पानी जिसमें नमक का कंटेंट हो. तो ऐसा किसमें किसमें होता है? सी के पानी में होता है और ओशंस में होता है. ऑल राइट, सो दीज आर हाई कंटेंट, high salt content water, that is sea and ocean. So they are also the sources of water, though we cannot use it for the domestic irrigation or agriculture purpose, but yes, they are a big source of water. So I think you are clear with what is rainwater, what is groundwater, what is surface, and what is seawater. So these are the sources of water. Okay, but let's talk about it in much detail now. So let's first see the rainwater. So if we talk about children the rainwater, तो rainwater क्या है? I think it is clear to you. Okay, so what do you think children कि whether this rainwater is a pure water or not? Is rainwater a pure water or not? See, rainwater, when it, like, there is a cloud, everybody knows when the cloud condenses, the rainfall occurs. Okay, now what happens? There is a complete atmosphere in between the cloud and the earth. ऑल राइट, और उतने डिस्टेंस के बीच में बहुत सारी चीजें आ जाती हैं, जैसे कि देयर कम सेवरल गैसेस, ऑल राइट, देयर कम सेवरल डस्ट पार्टिकल्स. ओके, सो जब बारिश होती है तो these water gets combined with all these gases and also the dust particles. Okay, so we cannot say that rainwater is a pure water, but yes, definitely it does not contain germs. इसमें बैक्टीरियाज नहीं होते, इसमें फंगस नहीं होता है, इसमें कोई एल्गी वेल्गी नहीं होता है, कोई भी माइक्रोब नहीं होते, इसमें जर्म्स नहीं होते हैं रेन वाटर में. बट yes, dust particles are there, There can be several gases mixed with it which may be harmful to us. Okay, so rainwater, though it does not contain germs, but yes, definitely it contains certain gaseous particles, certain dust particles. Okay, that is why it is generally said not to go into the rain, even the first rain, कि पहली बारिश के पानी में हमें नहीं भीगना चाहिए. क्यों? Because it may contain several dust particles and several gases that may be very harmful. Children, I'll tell you one thing, that even there are certain harmful gases present, like sulfur dioxide. Though it is not there in your syllabus, but you will get to know it later in your classes, but you should know. There is some very harmful gas, that is sulfur dioxide and water. When they react, they can even form acid. Okay, and these acid, they are so dangerous that it can even burn your skin. Getting it? That is why we should not go out in the rain. Okay, we should get covered with the raincoat or something like that. Generally we should avoid it. Okay, and especially the first rain, we should avoid it because it may contain such harmful gases. All right, so it is clear. Now let's come to the groundwater. So children, you are clear with groundwater also कि कहाँ पे होता है ये groundwater. So groundwater is very useful and it basically is used in household work. Okay, it is used in irrigation purpose in agriculture field and various domestic purposes. ठीक है? In all these purposes, these groundwater are used. Groundwater, the level of groundwater कि कितना level है groundwater का, is called water table. Okay, I'll show you the diagram. It is there in your book, so I'll show it to you. See, so just have a look at this diagram at page number 179. We have groundwater. So let's see. First, let's talk about non-porous rock. Non-porous rocks क्या होते हैं? See, porous का मतलब होता है, porous means it have small holes. porous का मतलब क्या है कि उसमें छोटे छोटे small holes हैं. ठीक है, पोर्स है. पोर्स का मतलब स्मॉल स्मॉल होल्स. ठीक. नॉन पोरस का मतलब कि उसमें कोई भी स्मॉल होल्स नहीं है, और अगर उसमें स्मॉल होल्स नहीं है तो पानी उसमें से पास नहीं हो पाएगा. गेटिंग माई पॉइंट? पोरस का मतलब होता है कि उसमें पोर्स हैं, छोटे छोटे स्मॉल स्मॉल टाइनी होल्स हैं. एंड नॉन पोरस का मतलब होता है कि उसमें स्मॉल स्मॉल होल्स नहीं है. Getting it? So this layer is a non-porous rock. Non-porous rock means कि अब इसमें से पानी पास नहीं हो सकता. Clear? Now see, there is a precipitation. All right, this is a rainfall precipitation. Okay. Now this is a soil, so water can seep down in the soil. Water क्या हुआ? इस soil से पास होके नीचे जाके settle हो गया here. So this complete is called a groundwater. क्या बोलते हैं हम इसको? This is a groundwater. Clear? Now this groundwater, ये कितना है, इसका लेवल क्या है, कहाँ तक ये भरा हुआ है, इसको हम बोलते हैं water table. ठीक है? What is water table? कितना पानी भरा है, is called water table. And see, with the help of this pipes and with the help of a tube well and with the help of pump, we can pump out this water from the ground. Children, nowadays concern is this, that this water table is going very down and it is becoming very difficult for us to pump the water and take the water. And the time will come when it will be so low कि हमें पानी, साफ पानी पीने के लिए होगा ही नहीं. And children, this groundwater is pure water. Okay, the water that is present beneath the soil layer or beneath the ground is a pure water. Why? Because it does not contain any germs. क्योंकि ये एयर के कांटेक्ट में आएगा नहीं, so it does not contains any germs. First thing. Second thing, that because it is coming after passing through the soil, तो soil क्या करता है कि it filters it. soil क्या करेगा, उसको फिल्टर कर देगा. जितने भी इसमें डस्ट पार्टिकल्स हैं या जितने भी गंदगी है इसमें, उन सबको क्या करेगा, soil फिल्टर कर देगा. So the pure water comes under this groundwater. Okay, so this groundwater is a bit pure water. That is why it is fit for drinking also and for several household work also. Clear? So this is groundwater, children. Okay, I think you are clear with this. Let's see what is written. So when rain falls, some of it immediately evaporates back into the atmosphere. Okay, some runs off the surface forming streams and rivers, and some passes through the soil into the non-porous rock beneath. Why? The same thing, that it will pass through the soil. Now this is underground water or a groundwater. The level of groundwater is called water table. This is important, children. The level of groundwater is known as water table. Now, the groundwater may run along the surface of the non-porous rock. Along the surface means that it is going through the surface. It will not go beneath this because it is non-porous. इसमें कोई छोटे छोटे छेद नहीं है, so that water can pass through. Okay, so it is non-porous, so it will flow like this. Clear? And come out of the surface in some places form a natural spring. Groundwater is a source of many lakes and wells. So आप कभी भी अगर कुआं देखो या आप ये wells या lake देख रहे हो, तो कुएं में भी पानी कहाँ से आ रहा है? That is nothing but a groundwater. ठीक है, wells देखा है ना, wells में जो पानी आता है नीचे की तरफ, that is because of the groundwater. Okay, so earlier it was the source of drinking, right? You know that well से ही लोग पानी लेते थे. Yes, well से पानी लेके then they use it for the household works earlier, right? Right now also in some villages they do the same thing. Okay, so it is a source of it is a good source of water here. It may contain germs, but mostly it does not contain a lot of germs. Okay, so groundwater can be obtained by digging wells or sinking the tube wells. ट्यूबवेल का पानी या हैंडपंप का पानी, जो जो भी पानी हमारे घर में आता है, इट इज द ग्राउंड वाटर. सी, overuse of groundwater is causing the water table in the cities and towns to go down rapidly, and this is a great cause of worry. And children, at many places wells का पानी एकदम सूख गया है. Why? Because the groundwater, like this water table is going so down that now we are not left with much water. Okay, so this is the serious cause of concern. Now let's come to the surface water. So what are surface water? The water that are present above the surface, like the river water, lake, ponds. Okay, streams. So they are called surface water. Okay, again the rainfall is the main source. ठीक है, rainfall हो रही है तभी river, lake और सबका पानी भर रहा है. And also during summer, the mountains that melt, the snow of the mountain that melts also refills the river or lake or sea. Okay, so rainwater that runs off the surface of the earth to form streams, lake and river is called surface water. So stream ka pani, lake ka pani, river ka pani, they are called surface water, and also pond. Okay, if it is not artificial. Okay, now rivers and lakes also get water from melting snow. River और lake में कहाँ से पानी आता है? Snow के melt होने से भी पानी आता है. Surface water contains dissolved salt and suspended impurities. See, I'll show you. Just a second. तो बेटा जो ग्राउंड वाटर होता है वो तो अंडरग्राउंड हुआ, ठीक है, विच इज नॉट एक्सपोज टू एयर। अगर वो एयर से एक्सपोज नहीं है तो उसमें जर्म्स के आने की प्रोबेबिलिटी बहुत कम है। ऑलराइट, बट इफ द वाटर इज प्रेजेंट ऑन द surface, अगर इफ वाटर इज प्रेजेंट ऑन द surface, अगर सरफेस पे पानी प्रेजेंट है, सो इट इज गेटिंग एक्सपोज टू द एयर ऑल्सो, एंड इट इज गेटिंग एक्सपोज टू सेवरल अदर मटेरियल्स। जैसे कि कोई इंडस्ट्री सेटअप हुई है, ओके, देयर इज सम इंडस्ट्री, सो कंसिडर दिस इज अ इंडस्ट्री, ठीक है। अब इस इंडस्ट्री ने क्या किया, अपना एक आउटलेट बना लिया, और इसका भी जो गंदा पानी है, कीचड़ वाला पानी, वो भी किस में डंप कर दिया, रिवर में डंप कर दिया। ओके, so it will also pollute the water, it will also pollute the water, getting it? Or maybe there are agriculture fields, ठीक है, पैडी फील्ड है, एग्रीकल्चर फील्ड है, ठीक है। इस एग्रीकल्चर फील्ड में हम क्या डालते हैं, वी एड फर्टिलाइजर्स, वी एड पेस्टिसाइड्स, एंड वी ऑल्सो गिव वाटर टू दिस। तो इसका वाटर भी कहाँ जाएगा, रिवर में जाएगा। Alright, so again it is a source of pollution, so it will pollute it, getting it? So there is a very high risk of this water, that is a surface water, to be polluted, getting it? So surface water is more polluted than the groundwater. Okay, so probability is very high for a surface water to get polluted than the groundwater, getting it? Okay, so coming back here, so it may also contains germs, definitely. Also sewage from the cities and harmful substances from factories are usually discharged into river. जितनी भी गंदगी होती है उसको रिवर में डंप कर देते हैं। आप लोग गंगा जी गए होंगे, यू मस्ट हैव सीन द डर्ट देयर, गंदगी देखी हो ना वहाँ पे, चारों तरफ खूब गंदा गंदा होता है। So what happens, this river is getting polluted, so this pollutes the water, making it unfit for drinking. So this water is not fit for drinking at all. Most of the drinking water supplied to us in towns and cities is from river. हमारे घर पे भी जो पानी आता है वो कहाँ से आता है, रिवर से आता है, बट नॉट डायरेक्टली। ऐसा नहीं होता है कि रिवर से डायरेक्टली पानी आ रहा है, इट इज फर्स्ट ट्रीटेड, ठीक है। तो पानी को पहले पंप किया जाता है, एंड इट इज ट्रीटेड, पानी को साफ किया जाता है, एंड देन इट इज सप्लाइड टू the houses. All right, it is supplied to the houses for the domestic purposes, getting it? So this is the surface water. Now then, next and the last source of water is sea water. So जितने भी river का पानी होता है वो ultimately कहाँ जाता है, it goes to sea. All right, so rivers ultimately flow into the sea. They add dissolved salt into sea. Okay, we know that there are dissolved salt in the sea water. Though it is not at all fit for drinking also, it is not good for agriculture field, it is not good for plants, it is not good for the animals, it is not good for the aquatic animals also. So, though it is present in abundance, but it is not fit for it. Okay. Thus, seawater contains a large amount of dissolved salt. This is why seawater is unfit for drinking, for irrigation, and for industries. We cannot drink it, we cannot use it. And children, you know that this is the only reason why we have a scarcity of water. Alright, though there are 3/4 of the area is covered with water, but still we have a scarcity of water. Why? Because most of the water is salty water. Clear? Getting it? And we have very less amount of water that is fit for drinking. All right. So children, this was the sources of water. In the next class, we'll talk about the natural calamities that can occur because of the because of the excess amount of water or because of the least amount of water. So there are two natural calamities, that is drought and flood. So flood we all have experienced, right? We'll talk about drought also. Okay, so these are the two calamities, natural calamities that can occur because of the excess of water or because of the scarcity of water. Okay, so we'll talk about it in the next class, and we'll also see what are the different ways through which we can conserve the water. Okay, so we are left with these two topics, and then we'll do the oral questions and we'll be completing the exercise. Okay, so that's all for today's class, children. Hope you have understood it. If in case you have any kind of doubt, please do ask me in the group. Okay, and please do complete the oral question of this chapter. Okay, so that's all for today's class. I'll tell you where you have to draw that diagram when we'll discuss the question answers. Okay, so please do read till here. Okay, if any word, anything is not clear to you, please do ask me in the group. So that's all for today. Thank you and Jai Hind, children.